Landmark legislation in California moving the state another step closer to legalizing and taxing marijuana, not just for medical use, but for recreational use as well. Let's head to CNBC's Jane Wells with how the industry might market itself if it actually became legal. Jane.
Melissa, here's the dope. Nobody really knows how much the marijuana industry is worth in California. The USDA estimates $14 billion. No one knows how much it would be worth if pot became legal, and sales might go up, but prices come down. One state study suggests that if you put a $50 per ounce tax on it, you could raise $1 billion. Again, a bill to legalize it has once again gotten through a state committee. It could also end up on the November ballot. Proponents say the industry should be regulated and taxed like California's lucrative wine industry. One wine marketing consultant veteran wonders then, okay, how would you market the stuff? Tom Wark suggests people buy wine for the same reason people buy pot. He's been talking about this on his blog. They do it to alter reality. But wine is marketed for its good taste or health benefits or how it improves a meal. If pot is legal, expect it to be pitched the same way.
Marijuana and wine, I think, will be marketed in exactly the same way. For example, with wine, we talk about where it came from. We talk about Bordeaux wine. We talk about wine from Napa Valley. We'll be talking about marijuana from Humboldt. We'll be talking about marijuana from Mendocino. Americans just don't like to talk about getting high with the products that they buy. They like to talk about other distinguishing features of the product, and that's how marijuana is going to be marketed also if the people of California allow it to be.
You could even expect a sort of Robert Parker of marijuana, which would score pot, and then marketers would use those scores in their marketing materials. One word you probably wouldn't be using, Melissa, in marketing dope is the word dope. Back to you.
All right, Jane, stick with us for a second here. Let's bring in Aaron Smith, California Policy Director of the Marijuana Policy Project. Jane, I want to ask you a quick follow-up question, though. Do the growers want it to be legal, right?
Not necessarily. I have family in southern Humboldt in the middle of this. They're not growers, they're not users, they're not in the business, and they're really split up there. You're talking about an industry that for 2 to 3 generations now has supported the economy in the shadows. About half the growers maybe want to be legal, come out from the shadows. The other half have a great mistrust of government and fear that if pot is legalized, Philip Morris will come in and just wipe them out.
Interesting. All right, let's bring in Aaron. Aaron, what do you think about that? I mean, would that mean that Philip Morris and others in the big companies, they would, right? They'd come right in?
Well, that's certainly a possibility, but I think that
not that there's anything wrong with that, right?
Well, I think the marijuana industry would look more akin to the beer industry, where you do have some large producers of beer who have maybe half of the market share, but you also have a flourishing market in craft beers and the microbreweries throughout the country, and I think that we'll probably see something similar to that.
Would this solve California's budget crisis? I mean, how much of the gap would this close here? Aaron, what do you think? Jane, either of you?
Well, the Board of Equalization estimates that taxes from the marijuana industry could yield about $1.4 billion. That wouldn't close the budget gap here in California, of course.
Not even close.
Not even close. But to put that in perspective, that would pay for the salaries of about 20,000 school teachers every year.
Yeah, but Jane,
that is...
Jane, let me just ask
my question is is that based on the current price of marijuana or a post-legal price? I mean, obviously the price is going to come down.
That's based on a $50 per ounce excise tax plus sales tax.
Jane, this is a little Kafkaesque for me because I want to ask you, we may not understand all about the marketing and the economics and the revenue yield, but if everybody's bonged out on marijuana, productivity in California, nobody's doing any work, the productivity being less than it is already, all right, that can't be good. And as you know, a lot of people in the rehabilitation, chemical dependency, and drug business say marijuana is a big gate opener to hard drugs. Marijuana is addictive. Is anybody talking about this? I mean, can we really just look at this as an economics issue or a budget issue? Because I see it in much different terms.
Well, I'm not an expert. Larry, I'm not an expert at this. There are those who will make that argument. That is why such a law has not passed. But if you look at public opinion polls, people say that it is time to get this out in the open and tax it because we need the money. and that it would be very much like the wine industry, where you'd have to be very, very regulated. You have to be over 21, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah,
Aaron
Aaron,
Smith,
go ahead.
Yeah, last word. Aaron, I mean, to me, just saying we need the money is not as... This would be
if you regulate, you know the argument, if you regulate it, you can make it safer, you can...
I think this is a...
Aaron, go ahead.
This is not about the money, and
Right.
I agree with that. The money is the icing on the cake. What this
Right.
is about is the social costs that have been brought on by marijuana prohibition, tremendous social costs that we cannot put a dollar figure on. Just as with alcohol prohibition in the 1920s, marijuana prohibition leaves this popular product in the hands of criminals who will go so far to protect their profits, even kill, and not to mention growing marijuana in our state parks,
You thought he was going to
selling
agree
it to our
with you, Larry,
children
but
on the
no.
streets.
No, I mean, I think, look, we could argue this forever. We don't have time. My views, because of my own story, I am so skeptical that legalizing marijuana is going to have a net positive impact. I'm sorry, I just am. But that's probably a different segment.
Thanks for coming on, guys. We appreciate it.